All right, being noon, we will get started. Folks will come in as they come in. So many of you know we host a weekly webinar series that up until now has always been totally academic. And so today's the first time we're branching out a little bit, kind of wishing I had done this months ago at the start of the pandemic, but better late than never. And so it's my real pleasure to introduce Dr. Ashley Rozak, who is a phenomenal physical therapist. Truth be told, she's actually my physical therapist. So you're not breaking any PHI, that's on me. And I just thought it was a really important webinar to be able to bring to people. We're all spending way more hours in front of screens than we want to, than we should. And so I know the benefit of really setting up the environment for success from a behavioral perspective. Ashley, we call that antecedents. So we call that the antecedents of things that we set up in the environment to promote success. And yeah, so everything you say, I'm gonna be interpreting in a behavioral frame.
Okay.
So I love, for example, when you say, we're gonna do planks. No, Ashley, I'm gonna do planks. You're gonna watch me do planks. Okay, so without further ado, I'll turn it over to Ashley. She is the clinical director of Spear, our site or the whole?
Just 57th Street, yeah, just 57th Street.
Well, I'll let you introduce yourself and your creds, and then we'll let you take the floor. I'll turn my camera and mic off. Again, folks, we'll welcome your questions in the chat. I'll be kind of curating those, presenting them to Dr. Rozek at the end. And yeah, let's have fun and learn a lot of good stuff. Thanks, Ashley.
Awesome. Well, hello, everyone. Thanks for letting me join you guys today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let's just make sure you can see it. There we go. Can you see this?
Yes, ma'am.
See the screen. Okay, great. Okay, so I'm super excited to be here. Today is about a physical therapist guide to surviving Zoom, which we're doing more than we ever have before. My name is Ashley, and I am a physical therapist at Spear Physical Therapy, which is an outpatient clinic in New York City. We've got 20 clinics all over the New York City area, and I'm also the clinical director of the 57th Street location in Midtown. Steve and I share a building, actually, in normal life. I got my bachelor's in science at Virginia Tech, where I studied human nutrition, food, and exercise. And then I got my doctorate of physical therapy at NYU. I lived in New York for almost 10 years now, so I consider myself a true New Yorker, and I love every moment of it. But I want to jump into our objectives today and what our goals are. So today we're going to talk about ergonomics and what it is and why it's so important, especially right now. We're going to review a proper ergonomic setup for your at-home workstation. And most importantly, we're going to get moving. So later on in the presentation, make sure you have some space. We're going to get you doing some exercises and some stretches that you can easily do throughout your workday. You won't need any equipment, but that's the most important part, is getting you moving. All right, so first we're going to put up a group poll. So give it a second to pop up.
Got you covered. Give me one sec here. Poll number one.
Poll number one.
Relaunch. There we go.
All right. So how many hours per day would you say you sit throughout the workday? I'll give you a few minutes, or not a few minutes, a few seconds to kind of answer. All right. Yeah. You're coming in. Give you 5 more seconds and then we'll end the poll so you all can see the results. Oh, never mind. Yeah. I think we're good, Steve.
That's a lot of hours there. Oh my God.
Okay, wait, so everyone can see this right now, right?
Now they can.
So majority of you are saying that you sit for over 8 hours a day. That is a lot of sitting. So if you think about it, on average, we're awake around 16-ish hours, and this is half of your day or more spent sitting. And that's why this is so important. We're spending majority of our lives, majority of our days sitting, and that's where ergonomics kicks in. So I'm going to X out of this poll. So ergonomics. Ergonomics is the study of how equipment and furniture can be arranged so that people do work or other activities more efficiently and comfortably. And for today's purposes, we're talking about how you set up your furniture and your desk so that you can work and take care of your body. So they say that sitting is the new smoking. So it's one of the worst things that you could do for yourself, but it's not something that we can really stay away from because that's how we make a living and that's how we have to do work right now. And during the pandemic, now more than ever, we're sitting more than we ever have before. We sit for 8 hours a day plus for work, and then we take a few steps over and we go sit on the couch or we sit at our dinner table. So we're not only sitting all day for work, but we're sitting when we're relaxing after work. And that's why ergonomics is so important, because ergonomics helps us to take care of our body in a way that we can throughout our workday. So I have a lot of people who come into physical therapy with either neck pain or back pain, shoulder pain, hip pain, hands and elbows, any sort of pain, because they're in this extended position for so long. And that's why we want to talk about this. So 2 things I want you to remember. Motion is lotion, and you use it or you lose it. So motion is lotion. Movement gives your body, it's basically like you're feeding your joints. You're giving your joints a meal. It brings blood to the area, it brings blood to your bones, to your muscles, and it gives yourself a little meal. Literally, it lubricates your joints so that you can move. When you sit all day, you're not lubricating your joints, and so you can feel that stiffness. And use it or lose it. That's a real thing. If you've ever heard, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. That's real. When we don't move, we start to perceive stiffness, and that stiffness can turn into pain. So movement is key throughout the day. And we're going to put up another group poll here.
Really keeping me on my toes here.
Steve, that's what I'm here for.
All right, relaunch and continue. Here we go.
All right. So do you experience any discomfort, pain throughout your workday? All right.
Ashley, we have what we call here a normal distribution.
Yeah.
Around moderate as the modal response.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. And I mean, yeah, there you go. If everyone can see this, moderate pain, the majority of people are having moderate pain. That's a lot of pain. And that's why ergonomics and movement is so important. And that's why we wanted to do this presentation today, so that you guys can have less pain and know what to do for your body when you're feeling that.
Ashley, do you see that there's none in the none category?
No one here does not have pain. Everybody has some sort of level of pain.
All right.
That's very telling. So, does anybody, I mean, I can't see you, or you can't raise your hands or anything, but I'm assuming that these postures look familiar to you. The lounging, the leaning forward, staring at our computer screens, the hunched back, staring down, looking at our keyboard, right?
Where's the one with the glass of wine?
I wish. So this is not what we want to do. This is the opposite of what we want to do. But this is often what we look like throughout the day, especially after so many hours of it.
Ashley,
so, yeah.
One of the senior researchers has me smiling big time in the polling. She said, we have selection bias in who signed up for this. It's not a random sample of all Zoomers. Thank you, Dr. Nietz.
No, I'm sure that this topic probably hit home for some people. It's so important. So upper cross syndrome is basically a fancy way that physical therapists say poor posture. So you can see in this diagram here, this person's head is forward, shoulders are forward. And so you can see an upper cross syndrome is basically a cross between really tight muscles and really weak muscles. And so your tight muscles, if you grab the top of your shoulders here and you start squeezing, majority of you are probably going to feel some tenderness and tightness. So those are your upper traps and your levator scaps that you see in the diagram right here. So those muscles crossed with really tight muscles in your chest, which happens because we're bent over a computer and a keyboard all day. Then you cross that with weakness in our deep muscles in the neck and our postural muscles. So the deep muscles in the neck help to hold your head up, and your postural muscles help to hold your shoulders back. So when those muscles are weak, so they're not holding what they're supposed to hold, along with tight muscles that are kind of pulling you into this position, you're going to have what we call an upper cross syndrome, which can lead to pain in the neck, pain in the shoulders, pain in your back. It can just lead to discomfort or stiffness that you might have. So that's where ergonomics comes in. So I'm going to show you these diagrams right now, and we're going to talk about it. And then I'm going to share I'm going to take off the PowerPoint and show you my desk where we are, and we'll kind of go over some things we can do. But first, when we're talking about ergonomics, you want to always follow the 90-90-90 rule. So you can see his elbows are at 90 degrees, his hips are at 90 degrees, and his knees are at 90 degrees. So as much as you can, you want to try to follow that rule. Secondly, you want to try to get the screen up to eye level, and that's going to help us to have our head up versus looking down at a screen. You want to try to bring that screen up, and we'll talk about ways that you can do that. And lastly, you want your low back supported. So if that means you roll up a towel or you have a pillow behind your back, that's going to help your back to feel better and help you to stand up nice and tall. Then we want to look at our standing desk. So again, we're following a 90-degree bend at the elbows. Also want the screen at eye level, but most importantly, you just want to stand whenever you can. So for example, I know that Steve cannot set up a standing desk. His at-home workstation doesn't allow him to do that. There's no room for it. And that's okay. You don't have to have a standing desk, but you have to find the time to stand up. So if that means the 5 or 10 minutes you have in between your patients, or the 5 to 10 minutes you have between a meeting, whatever it might be, stand up, go make it an excuse to go get yourself some water, or an excuse to do some of the exercises that we're going to do together in a little bit. But it's so important to stand and move, because it all goes back to the movement, right? Motion is lotion. Use it or you'll lose it. We want to make sure you're standing. So I'm going to unshare my screen here, and we're going to look at the desk. Let me just change how I'm viewing this really fast. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to show you my desk here. I'm going to show you a few ways that you can kind of change things up. So you can see I'm at my desk here. And when I sit, I can just chill, right? So my arms are kind of down, my hips are down here. So let's talk about how we can change this. We want to sit up nice and tall and have our arms up at 90 degrees. So remember, when we're talking about ergonomics, when we're talking about our at-home workstation, no one's is going to be perfect. No one is going to have exactly the equipment they need or exactly the degree that they need, but you want to try as close as you possibly can. So we're sitting here, you can see my arms are at a 90-degree angle, my hips are at a 90-degree angle, and my knees are at a 90-degree angle. So let's say that wasn't the case. Let's say I was a little bit lower, right? So you can grab some pillows to put on your chair to lift you up a bit. This will make it where your knees can be at a little bit more at a 90 degree and your back is a little bit straighter. And like we talked about before, we want to have some low back support. So if you have a pillow or a towel that you can put at your low back, that's going to help you to have a little bit more support in your back and kind of automatically going to make you stand up a little bit taller. So that's the 90 degrees here. Let's talk about our screens now. I'm going to take my pillows off because I've actually put them a little bit.
And I would just add, in terms of sustainability, these really are sustainable habits. Like, you dedicate these cushions, they're your Zoom cushions. You'll never use them again outside of the pandemic. and it's okay, but these really are sustainable, even if it looks silly.
Yeah. And believe me, you will feel so much better. I literally just put that pillow on my back and was like, whoa, I feel good. You'll feel so much better when you do it. So now we want to talk about the screen, right? The almighty computer screen. So let me pull out my other screen here. So the thing that we're staring at all day. So you can see when I sit here, because it's a little bit lower, I'm automatically going to want to kind of go in this forward head, rounded shoulder position and type all day, right? So you can see my arms have been at this weird position. I'm forward head. So this is that upper cross syndrome. This is that forward head posture that we want to fight. So you want to stand up tall, and you all are psychologists, mental health, right? So you all did a lot of schooling, and I'm sure you have a lot of books. So you can use books, you can use reams of paper, you can use a box, whatever it might be, to lift up your screen. So you can see when I do this with my screen's now eye level, which is going to force me to stand up a little bit taller, have my head up. I don't feel like I have to do this because now I'm a little bit taller.
I just thought of a cool suggestion for folks to get a friend or a workmate to just take a picture of your setup from the side so you can evaluate what is it actually like in my current setup.
Yeah. And that's also, we do that at physical therapy sessions. I'll ask people to take a picture and then we'll talk about how we can arrange it. But now you guys will know how you can arrange it. So again, like what I had said before, your ergonomic setup is not going to be perfect. So my screen is higher, but now my arms might be a little bit at a 90-degree angle. That's okay. What's most important is my head is up and my shoulders are back now, and I'm not being forced into this rolled position. So the next thing we want to talk about is your standing desk, if you're able to make a standing desk. So I'm going to just tilt my computer up so you can see. So if I'm doing this, I'm automatically, you can see my screen's down. I'm going to be doing this, right? So if we're standing, we want to make sure we're standing up nice and tall. So let's make this a little bit taller. I've got my Amazon Prime box. I'm going to lift this up and I'm going to put my screen back up here. And now I can stand up a little bit taller. My head's back, my shoulders back, and I can type and zoom comfortably like this. Ultimately, like something that might help with this is if you get an external keyboard or something like that, where you can have the screen up higher and your keyboard lower for sitting or standing. But again, it might not be perfect. That's okay. You just want to rearrange your furniture, rearrange your desk, force yourself into a standing position so that you can get up and get moving. So we're going to go over a few exercises now. Steve, I don't know if you want to show your desk right now. Do you want to show your desk?
Sure. I took a picture of it because I thought it looked so darn silly, but it's so darn helpful.
It is.
So literally, this is my workstation. I didn't make it for this webinar. The 4 reams of paper is really helpful. This pull-out drawer that you see near my lap is unusable for me because my arms will be at like 170 degrees rather than 90 degrees. And although my screen looks like it's lower than my eye level, my head is actually, as Ashley pointed out to me when she saw the photograph, it's actually at the 90-degree level because I'm looking through the lower part of my glasses.
So Steve's picture here is kind of a perfect example of, he used his 4 reams of paper to lift up the screen so that his head and shoulder can be back. He's sitting on 2 pillows to lift him up to have his hips and knee at that 90-degree angle. You can see he's got a pillow at his low back that's helping to support his back. And his arms might not be at that perfect 90-degree angle, but his shoulders and neck are up. And that's going to help him with any discomfort that he has in the neck, back, shoulders, all of that.
And I actually don't type through sessions. So that's even a short-term kind of, 5-10 second kind of thing.
Yeah, there you go. This is especially wonderful with Zooming because you don't have to use the keyboard. You just have to Zoom. So we're gonna go through a few exercises right now that are really easy to do throughout your workday. So you don't need any equipment. You really don't need too much room, but I would love for you guys to follow along and try them out. So if you do have any questions, we can get to it.
Ashley, a couple of questions that are timely. One was, is there any particular type of stand for laptops that you recommend?
Like a standing desk, I'm assuming is what they're saying.
Probably.
Honestly, there are tons of them on Amazon. There's not like one particular kind, I would say, like, yes, get this kind. There are tons of them on Amazon, and it all just kind of depends on what you want. There's ones where you can like hold something and it will lift up and down. There's ones where it's just like this stable thing. There's one where it has a big keyboard. So I would just suggest go on Amazon. They're not too expensive, but they're very, very helpful.
And with a good return policy, you don't have to worry about making a mistake, right?
Exactly. Amazon's so easy to return to now.
And next question, that's also timely. I've been told previously it's a problem to have too soft a seat. For example, putting cushions under you and not supporting the back. Thoughts?
So too like cushiony of a seat?
That's what the question is, yeah.
I honestly, I have had people come in because they're having tailbone pain because it's too hard of a seat. Yeah. So I think that it being too cushiony or squishy, it's all about your preference. It's all about how your body reacts to it, or how, yeah, just about how it feels to you. So I would say, unless you're sitting on like the fluffiest cotton ever, I don't think that's anything to worry about. It's going to help support you. It's going to help get you in that better position.
At most, you might need two because one doesn't give you the height or support, but yeah, that's my experience. And should your feet be flat on the floor?
Feet should be flat. So that's another 90-degree angle, is like your ankles should be flat. And so that's why the pillows can help lift you up so that so I'll show you my legs here. The pillows can help like lift you up a little bit higher so you're not out like this or not back like this. You want to be at that 90-degree angle with your knees and your feet flat.
Especially important for short people and tall people.
Yeah. And like something else you can do too, if you know, for some reason the chair you're working at is really high or really low, is you can use a box or books or any sort of stool you have to put your feet up on it if you need to, if that helps bring you at a 90-degree angle. But as long as your feet are flat, you'll feel much more comfortable in that 90-degree angle.
All right, ready to move on.
All right. So we're going to go through some exercises. So you guys can follow along with me. So if you do have any questions, we can get to it at the end. You won't need any equipment. You really don't need too much space. If you do have any discomfort or pain with anything, go ahead, stop. And like, I don't want you to have any discomfort with this, but it shouldn't be. So the first exercise we're going to do is called a chin tuck. So we've been talking about how when you're at a computer and you're typing like this, right? Our heads are forward, our necks are forward, our heads are forward. And we talked about how those deep neck muscles don't work to hold your head up. So the next exercise we want to do is called a chin tuck, where you are literally going to make a double chin. So you're literally going to tuck your chin in and down and then come forward. So I know we all love double chins in our selfies and our pictures. So this time you're allowed to make a double chin. So you see my head comes forward and you're just tucking in and down. You should feel just like just some tension in your back, or I'm sorry, in your neck, in the front of your neck. And again, what this is doing is it's helping us to get our head up, get our neck muscles to work. So if you see me from the front here, you're forward and then come in, double chin. So very easy to do. Again, in between meetings, you could probably literally do this in a meeting and people might not notice that you're doing it. So very, very easy to do.
Just put a Post-it up in front of your screen that says chin tuck, so it serves as a discriminative stimulus to remind you to do this.
The other thing too, when you do this, you want to make sure you're not scrunching, right? These muscles on top are already too tight. We don't want to tighten them anymore. We just want just the neck. Easy to do, 10 to 15 times in the 5 free minutes that you have. It'll take you probably 20 seconds and it will give your neck some TLC. So along with the neck, what we can do to stretch out your neck. So we talked about those really tight muscles in your shoulder that get really tight when we're like this, is stretch those muscles out. So you're gonna have your hand over your head, right above your ear, and you're gonna pull your ear down to your shoulder. So it's important when you do this, you're not pulling your whole body. Okay, so your body still stays up nice and tall. You're just pulling your ear to your shoulder. And you're not pulling your shoulder to your ear. So you're not scrunching your shoulder up. You're keeping your shoulder down and just pulling your ear to your shoulder. And if you're pulling your head to the right side, you should feel this on the left side. You just should feel gentle into the neck and shoulder. You can go ahead and try the other side if you're doing this along with me. One way to make this a little bit more intense if you're not feeling it is put your other hand behind your back. But again, you want to make sure you're not pulling your whole body to the side, just the neck. So if you're pulling it to the left, you should feel it to the right. And whenever we're talking about stretches, so a static hold, which is what we're doing, you always want to hold it for 30 seconds. So 30 is the magic number, and that's because research has shown that if you hold something for under 30 seconds, you're not doing anything. And we want to make sure we're doing something, because what's 30 seconds to 8 hours, right? This is only going to help you. So give yourself those 30 seconds to get through the stretches. The next stretch for your neck is you're going to look down at your armpit. You're going to bring your hand behind your head. So I'm going to show you that. So see how my hand is behind my head, okay? And you're gonna pull your head down to your armpit. So again, if you're pulling to the right, you should feel this in the left neck, and it's gonna be a little bit more towards the back of your neck versus the side. Again, with this, you're not pulling your whole body down. You're not pulling your shoulders down. We wanna fight that. We do that all day. You're pulling just your neck down to your armpit, and you're relaxing your shoulders. And if you're doing this with
a couple of timely questions, Ashley.
Yes.
Okay to do when not warmed up, and how many times a day? And I'm guessing you're going to say whenever you can do it is the right amount of time.
Yeah, this is definitely, there's no warm up needed for this. You know, warm ups in terms of exercising is more needed when you're doing, like when you're running or when you're doing some sort of intense cardio or strengthening exercise. This is just stretching your neck and getting it out of that position. So no need for a warm up. And I would definitely say, whenever you get the chance to do this, it's such an easy, simple one to do it. If you're feeling tight, give yourself that stretch. Does that mean do it every 5 minutes? No, but every hour or so, every couple hours, whatever it might be, yeah, I would give yourself the 30 seconds or the 1 minute to go through this stretch. Any other timely questions?
Mm-mm.
No, okay. So again, with both of those exercises, when you pull to the right, you feel it on the left. So whatever side you're pulling to, you're feeling it on the opposite. And if you are doing this with me, you might feel more tightness on your more dominant side. So if you're right-handed and that's where you use the mouse, that's what you use to write, whatever it might be, you might feel a little bit tighter on that side. Okay, so the next exercise we're going to go over, and also I do want you to know that all the exercises we're going over, I'm going to email to you. So you'll have pictures, you'll have an explanation, you'll have access to a video if you need to see it. So you will have access to all of these exercises after the presentation, because I know I'm throwing a lot at you and I want you all to be able to do it and take care of yourself during your workday. So the next exercise we're going to do, it's called a Scap Squeeze, or you're literally squeezing your shoulder blades together. So again, remember, we're like this all day, we're typing, our shoulders are forward. So we want to do the opposite of that. So you're going to squeeze your shoulder blades and come forward. So when you do this, you can hold for about 3 seconds, 3 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 1 Mississippi, and come forward. So it's important to remember with this one as well, you're not doing this. We're not tightening these already tight muscles. You're going backwards. So you should feel this more in your mid back, or for women, you'll feel it at like your bra line. That's where you should feel this. And you're just squeezing your shoulders back. Also, something very easy, very simple to do in between your meetings, in between your patients. I mean, you could be in a Zoom and be doing this and people might not recognize that you're doing it. This is a really, really good one for you. Getting your shoulders back here. Something else important, right? So we type all day and we use our mouse all day and we write whatever it is. So all the muscles in your fingers actually come from your forearms. So basically your forearms are getting a full out workout all day long. So we want to make sure we're giving them some TLC too, because these prolonged positions and this prolonged use of computers can lead to tendonitis in the elbow, in the forearm, in the wrist, or even carpal tunnel. And some of you might even be experiencing that or have experienced that. So we want to make sure we're stretching out our forearms. So the next exercise we're going to do is you put your hand out towards me and show me your fingernails. And you're going to take your other hand and you're going to pull it towards you. So if you see me from the side, my arm is totally straight. And I'm going to pull my hand towards me. And you should feel a decent stretch on the top of your forearm here. Again, when you do this, you might feel this a bit more on your more dominant side, since that side, the forearms work a little bit more.
Do you hear all the oohs and ahs, Ashley?
I do. Through the Zoom. And you also want to do the opposite of this. So you want to, if you show your palm towards me, you're going to pull your hand back, pull your fingers back, and you'll feel that stretch on the other side of your forearm. So again, make sure your arm is straight out. It's at 90 degrees. You don't want to be down here. You want to be here, straight out in front of you. 30-second hold. Very easy to do in between meetings. Good. So we've talked about our neck, our shoulders, our arms. What's also really important to talk about are our legs, because our legs are also not moving. I'm just going to tilt my computer down a little bit here. So when we sit all day, our legs stay in this static position where they don't move. And that's also not good. That can lead to back pain, to hip pain, to knee pain, whatever it might be. So we're also going to go through a few stretches for your legs. So the first one, very easy. You're going to literally just stick your leg out. Your heel's going to go down on the ground. You're going to pull your leg towards me, and you're going to lean forward. And honestly, you might not even have to lean forward that much to feel this stretch. You should feel it in the back of your thigh. So this muscle is called your hamstring muscle. It helps to bend your knee back towards you. And it doesn't move too much throughout the day. So you might feel a really good stretch here. What you don't want to do is you don't want to do this. We're not slumping over, okay? Your back is still straight. You're just leaning forward, and you should feel that. I can see Steve's face here right now. And Steve, it looks like you might be feeling this stretch.
Amen.
So again, you always do both sides. Hold it for 30 seconds. See how my back is nice and straight. I'm not slumped. Back is nice and straight. And another way to stretch your hamstrings, also you can just stand up and lean forward. So you'll feel that stretch in your back, or in the back of your thighs here. You can do this with both legs at the same time. You can do this kind of how we did it in the chair with one leg straight out. But it'll feel a little bit different when you stand up. And also, what do we want to do throughout the day? We want to stand. So another good excuse to get up, stand, and get your hamstring stretched out. And for those of you who are doing this, you probably are feeling it. It feels pretty good. So we got our hamstrings taken care of. We got the back of our thighs taken care of. Another very important muscle are our glutes. So we sit on our butt all day, and our butt is made of our glute muscles. They're the biggest muscles and potentially the strongest muscles that we have. But for most people, they're very weak because we're just sitting on them all day. So they get really tight instead of straight, like working for us. So we want to make sure we stretch that out too. So all you're going to do is you're going to bring one ankle to your other knee, and same thing, you're going to lean forward. And the leg that's crossed here is the leg that you should feel the stretch in. So I'll show you from the side so that you can see this. So I'm crossed and I'm leaning forward. So again, we're not like this. We're not slouching. That's the opposite of everything we want to do. Back is straight, you just lean forward, and you should feel that in the hip that is crossed. This is also a really good one. Really, really good one. Same thing, always 30 seconds, very easy to do. Another very important muscle that often gets really tight on us is our hip flexor muscles. So I know you can't see the top of me, you don't have to. Our hip flexor muscles live right here in the front of our hips. They attach from our spine and they come forward and attach to the front of your hip. So if you can see when I'm standing, the muscle is straight down. When you sit, it goes into a scrunched ball. So when those muscles are really tight and they're scrunched up like this, they can cause pain in your back and your hips, in your legs, whatever it might be. So we want to make sure we're stretching this out as well. So very easy one. You're going to stand up and you're going to put your leg on the back of your chair. And all you're going to do is lean forward. It doesn't take too much movement, but you're going to feel this in the front of your thigh, in the front of your hip. If it doesn't feel like enough, push your foot back. So slide the chair back a little bit more, and you should feel this in the front of your hip. Remember, you always want to do both sides. So you're here and you're pushing back. Again, you should feel this in the front of your thigh, on the thigh that's up on the chair. Another way to do this, if you feel like standing, you feel unstable or whatever it might be, you have pillows nearby, right? So you can put your pillow down on the ground. You'll come down into a lunge. I'm going to push myself back a little bit. Come down into a lunge. You're going to lean forward. So you see I've got my pillow from my chair and I'm leaning forward. So again, that's stretching out this hip flexor muscle here that gets so scrunched up and tight when we sit all day. Steve, it looks like you're feeling this one. Good, so you make sure you're doing both sides always. Again, very easy to do in between patients, in between meetings. Give your legs some TLC. So the next stretch I'm going to show you is one that many of you have probably seen or done before. So if you're a runner or you played sports, whatever it might be, you're going to hold on to your chair. You can hold on to your desk. You're going to bring your foot back to your butt. And you're going to feel another stretch on your thigh, on the front of your thigh. So if you see me from the side, I'm not way back here. I'm not way up here. My knee is right in alignment with my other knee. And you don't have to balance. This is not a balancing act. You can hold on to the chair. You can hold on to the desk, whatever it is. But you should feel a pretty decent stretch in the front of your thigh. Again, you're not leaning forward with this. We're not ice skaters. Just pull up. Okay, how's everyone feeling? I can't hear you, but I'm gonna guess that you're feeling a little bit better. I'll get through some stretches. So the next exercise I'm gonna show you is a really easy and really great one. You guys are going to love this one. You can do it right at your desk. You're going to put your hands at your desk and you're going to open up towards the ceiling. So what this does is it helps us to get out of this position, right? We're typing. It helps us to open up our chest and our shoulders. So hands down on the desk and your head is gonna follow. You're gonna look up at the ceiling and come back down. So you should feel a pretty good stretch in your chest, in your shoulders, and your upper back a bit. It's gonna kind of help open up the whole area that's really, really tight. Remember we talked about that upper cross syndrome, all those tight muscles, we're opening up here.
You forgot to tell them the B word.
What's the B word?
Breathe.
Oh, don't hold your breath. So this is a good, you can breathe out when you open. So, and then breathe in when you come back towards the desk. This is also an exercise that as you continue to do it more and more, you'll feel yourself open up and be able to go a little bit further. Again, you always want to make sure you're doing both sides, and you might feel a little bit more tightness on your more dominant side compared to the other. That's okay. That means it needs the stretch. So this exercise is called an open book. So imagine that you are a book and you're opening up. What the stretch also helps to do, because you're following your head to the ceiling, is it helps rotate your neck. So we're not just stuck in this forward position, we're rotating our neck as well. Motion is lotion. We're giving some lotion to our neck here. I have 2 more exercises for you. And they are a few of Steve's favorites. So I'm going to move my computer here so that you can see. So the next exercise is called a wall angel. So you are literally, you're going to find a wall. If you don't have a wall, that's okay. You can do this just standing up. But if you do have a wall, go to your wall. So for this exercise, you're going to have your head, your shoulders, and your butt back up against the wall. And it's important to note here that you don't want your back to be in a completely arched position. You want to try to keep your core engaged here. So you're trying to kind of push your back up against the wall. And you are literally going to make a snow angel on the wall. So your upper arms stay against the wall as much as they can, and you're going up as much as you can. So if you don't have a wall or like an open wall, that's okay. You can just stand, bring your arms back, and make an air angel. And so if you're making an air angel, which I see most of you are doing, you want to make sure that your arms are in line with your body. What I mean by that is you're not doing this. We're not like waving for a cab. Our arms are in line like with our head and neck, so kind of behind us a bit. And when you do this, this one is deceptively hard, but it's really great at opening up our shoulders, opening up our chest, and getting our postural muscles to kick on. So if you were to do 10 or 15 of these in between a patient, in between a meeting, and then you go into your next patient or next meeting, I promise you, you're gonna feel better. You're gonna feel yourself sitting up a little bit taller. And you wanna go nice and slow with these. Nice and slow. So you can see how you can get done with a meeting, stand up, do some air angels, 10 air angels, and then go right back into your meeting. And the last stretch I'm going to show you, this is Steve's favorite stretch. So you're going to find a doorway. I happen to like not have a doorway in my apartment, which is kind of crazy, but let me tilt this up. You're going to find a doorway. So I have half of the doorway here. So imagine I have a full doorway. You're going to put your arms on the inside of the doorway. Yep, and you can do one arm at a time if that feels more comfortable. But if you can do both, that's even better. So you're putting your arms and like your forearms on the inside of the door, and you're going to step forward. So when you do this, you're going to feel a really good stretch in your chest and in your shoulders. It might even go into your arm a little bit. This version of it, you're at a 90-degree angle. If this feels like too much, you can bring your arms down into like a lower V and step through that way. Or you can bring your arms up into a high V and step through that way. But again, what this is doing is we're like this all day. This is opening our chest, opening our shoulders wide up so that we can feel that really good stretch in those tight muscles, get our head up, get our shoulders back. And guys, that's what I have for you today. I know we went over a lot, and I don't want you to feel like you have to do all of these all the time, every 5 minutes you have. Go based off how you feel. If your shoulders are what's feeling tight, do a few of these shoulders. If your legs what's feeling tight, do a few of these leg exercises. But you have lots of options now and lots of different things you can do to take care of yourself.
Ashley, does this mean I can skip our next session? No, only kidding.
Steve.
This is exactly what I hope for, and I hope people focus in on the ease of getting it in when you can get it in. This is not like you're signing up for a life membership to the gym. It's that 5 minutes in between patients. Literally on the way to the bathroom, there's a doorway.
Yeah, and, exactly.
Exactly. You're going to be sitting at some angle, might as well be the right angle.
Yeah.
So I know everybody looks forward to getting the diagrams, and I know the associated videos with it.
Yeah, I'm in all over.
Listen, we're a small enough group. I think you can just like, I'll present the questions, and if you want to, after I go through a couple of them, we can turn your mics on. Which exercises are good for the spot between the shoulder blades and the problem of putting your shoulders to your ears?
So that would be that scap squeeze, that shoulder blade squeeze. So where you're squeezing your shoulder blades back. And remember, you never want to do this. You're never shrugging. You're squeezing your shoulder blades. Like if these are your shoulder blades, you're squeezing them together. And that's going to work on the muscles in your mid back that are your postural muscles.
Is this the one?
And also because.
Is this the one where you tell us?
What'd you say?
Is this the one where you tell us pretend like there's a pencil or a $50 bill that you're holding?
Yes. Yeah. I always say pretend there's a $50 bill or $100 bill, and you can only have it if you squeeze your shoulder blades. Yes. So that's the best one for that.
Folks, chime in with your questions. You could turn your mic on and just throw it to Ashley.
And Ashley, what about if you do this? Is that the same exercise? Like if these are really tight?
No, you don't want to do that. You want to avoid that at all costs, because you do this all day. So you want to do the opposite of that. You don't want to, you're trying to avoid shrugging, because when you shrug, you're working these muscles and they're already overworked.
Right. So I'm saying, I'm not saying I'm intentionally doing that. I'm saying I do that too much. So if I do that too much, then I want to do that exercise.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Back rather than up.
I think from a behavioral principle, it's kind of like opposite action, you know?
Yeah.
One of our frequent flyers asked, how would you prioritize if you just have a few blocks of 5 and 10 minutes? Better to do some stretching or go for a walk versus yoga exercise, deep breathing?
I think, and for what I understand, you guys are treating patients throughout the day and you kind of have these few 5 to 10 minute breaks throughout the day. I would say mix it up. One break that you have, go through some stretches. One break that you have, go walk around. It's just all about the movement and getting yourself out of this seated position, but just go based off how you're feeling. If you're like, oh man, my neck is really bothering me, then go through some of these neck exercises. If you're feeling okay, then get up and walk around. But I would just say always mix it up.
And I would add, as the behavior therapist here, if you put up the diagrams that you're going to be able to print out and just have it in your field of vision in front of you, it's just going to serve as a stimulus to remember to do this, because almost everything Ashley is describing doing is easy to do in the middle of a session, and certainly in your team meetings. I mean, self-care, nobody's going to mind that you're standing up and doing some stretching. It may be awkward when you're with patients or not. It depends on your style.
If you do that during a meeting, people are going to be like, hey, that looks good. What are you doing?
Self-care, baby, self-care.
I think I see Kathy, you said, are all these exercises fine to do once an hour or two? Yeah, every hour or so, get up. That's kind of a rule of thumb that I like to tell people, like every hour, get up and move around. Make it a point every hour you're spending 2 minutes going through some of these stretches or walking around, but every hour or so is a good rule of thumb. Oh, good. People are sending Amazon links. Wonderful. Love it. Does anybody else have any other questions? Am I missing any on the chat?
I was just gonna say this felt very validating. Like I feel like so grateful to be able to work from home and be safe, and at the same time I feel like it's been killing my body doing this. So it felt really validating to see everybody here, and we're all like getting up and trying to move. And it reminded me like this is probably the best posture I've had all week. It reminded me to like get up, pull my shoulders back.
Yes.
All the things. So thank you, and I'm excited to buy new pillows for my chair.
Yay! I'm glad.
I'll let my husband know that you formally recommended it.
Perfect. You are definitely not alone. I mean, the whole world is suffering with all of this sitting, and if you can just take these little tools, it will change your day. It really will. Steve is a pro at it. Steve is always doing it, and he can vouch that it has changed how he feels throughout the day.
What I love is the ease once it's in your habit pattern. Because again, this is the stuff we're doing in between sessions or while sitting here, and having some prompts to do it is going to be really helpful.
Yeah.
Guys, chime in with your questions. Now's your chance. You got Dr. Rozek on the line.
I have a question about having dual monitors. So I have my laptop and then I have a secondary monitor, and I have to have my laptop in the middle just because that's where my camera is. But then I find that I'm kind of like turning my head a lot to look at the other monitor. So I was just wondering if you had any thoughts or recommendations about how to structure 2 monitors.
So when you have your 2 monitors, are you you're using them at the exact same time?
That's typical.
Not all the time, but yeah, sometimes.
So I would say because you also like, you don't want to look like this all day. Like you don't want to be in this rotated position all day, because that is going to tighten your muscles in a whole nother way. So if you can shift your chair to look at the second monitor, or if the second monitor is higher, make that when you're standing. I think it's just about like making sure you're centered at whatever screen you're looking at, because that rotational movement is a whole nother ball game of like causing some sort of injury.
I'm guessing being on a swivel would increase the likelihood that you would rotate your head with your eyes and your neck as you're doing it, right?
Yeah. So a swivel.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Swivel or just shifting your chair. Any other questions or any exercises you want to review again? I'm happy to go through them again.
So, so you're suggesting, you're saying it would generally be a net benefit for everybody to have a sit-stand desk and to be standing for some of the time.
100%. A standing desk is going to like change your work world if you are able to get one. And it's also important to know that standing is also not a good thing to do all day. It's not, you don't want to go stand for 8 hours either. You kind of, if you do get a standing desk, you want to kind of find your happy medium. So a lot of times I tell people like, sit for an hour, stand for an hour, sit for 2 hours, stand for the next hour, figure out what works with your work schedule, but that will help get all your joints moving and stretched out in a different way versus just sitting all day.
Okay. And are there specific, like then if you have a sit-stand desk, are there other exercises you need to do, or the same ones pretty much?
No, yeah, these are the same ones, because we still tend to go in this position of being rolled forward and our heads forward or our legs getting really tight from sitting. So all of these exercises are good no matter what position you're in.
Great.
My mind is thinking about other non-psychology things that we should have, like people teaching us some breathing stuff. And
Yeah.
this is really great, Ashley. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I'm so happy to do it.
So I will be
We do a nutritionist.
And a nutritionist.
Nutritionist, yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Although they might tell me stuff I don't want to hear.
It's very true.
So we'll follow up with emails. We have all your emails, and Ashley's kind enough to share this information. We'll send that to you. And Ashley, thanks again for sharing your time, your expertise.
Of course.
I say your name and I sit up taller. You've got me conditioned. Thanks to all of our frequent flyers for joining us for this different kind of webinar. We have some great webinars coming up. I hope you'll be able to join us. Some of our prior webinar presenters were on with us today. That's always a treat as well. So thanks everybody, and stay healthy.
Thank you guys.
Thanks so much.